This is not just a book for women. I gave it to my most girly mama bears. I gave it to my most burly papa bears. And all of them have called me and said, oh my gosh, I cannot believe your story. It's amazing, a page turner. And they were mad at me because they were up till 3 and 4 in the morning finishing it. They couldn't put the book down.
Yeah, just tons of people just all had the exact same problem that helps her to sell that, but they just all couldn't sleep. They were all, Joe, it's so good, it's so good. It seems a little bit desperate though, and there might be a reason for that. That's Kari Lake's Unafraid, just getting started. A good way to get started would be to become a senator, governor. We'll see about that. She's had some trouble in the past, and she's continuing to have some trouble because while this is apparently a page turner that is ruining people's REM cycles, on Amazon, Unafraid, just getting started. Seems like not a lot of people are getting started with the book anyway. And look, I'm a wannabe author. I write fantasy and sci-fi stories on Patreon, so I understand how difficult it can be to get people to read your work. I'm thinking about putting out a sort of collected work of the first year of my short stories. I have no doubt that that's going to be a tough sell for some people, but I also am not going to be lying about it in videos and pretending that it's the best book that's ever existed. It's not the worst book though. It's not doing the worst. While only 18 people rated it and only at 3 stars, it's doing better than Kari Lake, the biography, which has 4 ratings and 1 star.
God.
Who writes a Kari Lake biography based off of one failed run for office? But anyway, some people think that there might be something weird going on. Steve Deese, who has a show or whatever, says Kari Lake, who I absolutely adored as a candidate, and I'm still heartsick she's not governor. Yes, arrest Katie Hobbs, as Deese Online says. For what? Is the First Lady of MAGA, yet her new book never cracked the top 100 on Amazon, is down to 555 today. Any theories as to why? I have a theory. I have a couple of theories, but Jayar, do you have a theory as to why? What is the deep state doing to Kari Lake?
You know what's crazy, John? There's a few things that come up in topics, and you're the first person I think of. One being the 4-day work week. That's you. Also voting holiday, bro. I'm behind you, John Iadarola for president. But just almost 2 topics, and the third is 100% inflated book sales, which I'm gonna let you talk about because that is all John Iadarola's territory. So, but as far as the questions behind it, I'll let you answer because I'm on the same page, not of this book, but definitely on the same page that you're talking about. But no, the degree to which this sales job went for her to be like, oh God, man, people just can't keep the book out of their hands, man. They fall asleep, their wife rolls over and says, hun, I'm in the mood. And you go, no, Kari Lake. Instead, like, flip these pages instead. Come on, bro. You don't have to go that far. When you go that far with the sales job, it makes people go, okay, I feel you. Even if the book is good, you can put it down. It's okay. It's not a 1987 ad where you have to really push this hard because people will see the actual facts like what it is we're talking about here now. Yeah. And this is one of those instances. We talked earlier about how Ron DeSantis is campaign manager, I believe his position there, and how he's falling behind Trump so much. And other people in these races, a lot of times are doing it for promotional reasons. Yo, here it is. This is what she's doing all this for. Where's the stolen election talk? Where's the Donald Trump is my king talk? This is about selling books. 100%. That's where she lands, just like Donald Trump, just like any of these other politicians looking to sell something. And by the way, last thing, John, before you get to what I know you're gonna go to, this is a big illustration of how politicians are inauthentically created. Like the popularity of Kari Lake is based on what? She lost a race. Every cycle, a lot of people lose a race. What's different about her? That Donald Trump said I like her? But what does that do with everyone else?
Yeah,
that's just constituents have to vote people in, not fellow politicians that say I like her. But that's what we've become to believe.
It's a person who desperately wants to be in a position of power and influence. That's it. Doesn't really bring anything to it. Used to be in the news or whatever, and used to be a totally different person politically. Yeah. Used to be a Democrat. Used to be totally fine with drag queens. Maybe the reinvention is admirable. I suppose it's difficult to do that, and she was able to. But anyway, I do want to briefly deliver on what Jayar was saying. Here is the issue for Kari Lake. There are probably a few. First of all, I would say she shouldn't take this too personally that people aren't reading the book because she definitely didn't write the book. Can we just put that out there? Best case scenario, ChatGPT wrote the book. They're all the same, by the way. All these right wing, like Dems hate America, here's the path. It's all literally the same book. It doesn't matter, choose whichever one you want. The issue is, let's say that you are a fan of Kari Lake because she has fans. still, why are you reading that book? First of all, are you reading generally? But more importantly, like, you're gonna read the accounting of the election she just lost 2 years ago? You lived it. Why do you need to read a book about that? That's not interesting. But the systemic problem is she is experiencing, or I guess Steve Deese is experiencing for her, a bit of whiplash, which is these books generally sell well, and they do sell well in that copies of them are produced and money changes hands, but it's not an organic thing. We've got videos up on the channel. I've done deep dives into how bulk purchasing of books by think tanks and PACs work. That is how bestsellers are made. It works for politicians, it works for pundits. That's generally how a lot of these instant bestsellers are made. Some group that's raised a ton of money buys 80,000 copies of a book. You're instantly on the New York Times bestseller list. 3 weeks later, you're off of it, but you can claim for the rest of your life that you are a best-selling author. This is not my speculation. You can track when this is done by going to the bestseller list and looking at the entry. If it has a little dagger symbol next to it, that is because the New York Times is acknowledging that there is evidence of suspicious purchasing patterns and bulk purchases, and they have to note it. They're still including it on their list, which I take issue with, but they always mark the ones that have organic followings and the ones that don't. In her case, apparently no PAC was willing to buy her book. No think tank purchased 30,000 copies or whatever. That's unfortunately how it works. It's difficult to sell a book, like I said. If I put out my collected volume, we will see if my tales of like mongoose barbarians are able to beat out her tales. We'll have to see. Stay tuned.
Which, by the way, John, that says a lot that there's no PACs willing to do the normal standard buying up all the books. What does that say? Oh,
yeah, it's not a good sign. It's not a good sign.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.